Hello, Mysterium. Here we are. We're going to do our... It's becoming an annual tradition, I guess. The Cyan State of the Union. State
just
of
call
Cyan.
it the SOC now.
The
SOC?
It's such
Oh
tradition.
my God. System on a chip.
Welcome, Mysterium attendees. We're not with you live this year, which actually kind of sucks. Last year was awesome. I look forward to doing it again. But this year you get us on the couch at Cyan. I am Eric. I'm the creative director here.
I'm Hannah. I'm the development director here. I don't know why. I just looked at the mic like I'm talking to the mic.
And I'm Rand.
Yeah.
I am, I don't know what I am.
He's
These titles and
very
what they mean.
existential.
Who knows what
I
they
like
mean.
that.
He just
Wow.
walked in off the street. He's going to hang out with us. No, we're here to talk about what all we have going on these days at the studio and answer some questions and goof around for like a little bit.
I'll bet
that's
they
the
know
plan.
of some of the stuff we have going on.
Probably.
I'll bet they've heard of some, maybe one thing in particular that's happened recently.
Bug chucker.
One can
That's
only
it.
hope.
You gave it away.
Spoiling it. We recently launched a little game called Riven for the
Correct.
second time.
For the second time.
Mm-hmm. To be remade probably 5 more times.
You shut your
in
mouth.
the future.
No, never remade again. Just polished forever.
Forever.
Polished
and
to a
ever.
fine
Like a
sheen.
fine diamond.
And
Just
ever.
another little edge off.
No, like
joke.
jokes aside, how do you guys feel about getting Riven out there? Like no, like for real. Like it's a genuine question. How you feeling?
Pretty good.
That's it? Pretty good?
I want you to have more of an opportunity to.
Okay,
No
all
one
right.
wants to. Everyone wants to know what you think.
I will say, well, we all have different perspectives because we all
Yeah.
came at it from different angles. For those of you who don't know, I was involved more in the recreating changes, some of those things that we tried to deal with and, balance as we were changing a few things that we warned you about last Mysterium.
Mhm.
Trying to, play that line. And anyway, that was terrifying. So terrifying. And Richard and I had no idea, Robin was involved in the beginning. We came up with crazy ideas. We churned on them. We didn't know how that would be received. And so that was so satisfying. I have to say now.
I was gonna say I love how you're still sort of hedging on it, even
Hedging.
though like the public reaction has been
I know.
Yeah.
overwhelmingly positive in
know.
support of the
It
changes.
really,
Yeah.
I think sometimes we forget that we're fans of Riven.
Mhm.
Like, it's easy for us to think that we're the developers, but we really, as part of the development effort, would take off our development hat and go, well, I'm a fan. I like this part. Or I never
Yeah.
really understood this part. Or, oh man, there were no puzzles at all on Survey Island.
Yeah.
All those little things that we kind of poked and prodded. And I think because we're fans and loved that project, it came through, but you never know. And so it's the comments that you guys and the support has been, I cannot, I just can't put it into words how satisfying some of those comments have been. It's just, it was a relief. It was like, oh my gosh, they're fans like us kind of.
Well, I
Yeah.
remember you guys took it so seriously, those changes, and even
Yeah.
internally, I remember we had fights over
Mhm.
back and forth over like the nature of the changes, whether they should be made. There was some push and some pull. I don't know. Seeing the public reaction for me anyway was like this huge sigh of relief, but
Yeah.
also like this confirmation of like we did it the right way. We asked the right questions. And we did it with the right intent.
Yeah. As the people boots on the ground working on the game too, it was such a monumental effort to get this game out the door. I don't think folks realize how monumental of an effort this was. And
They don't.
after we shipped Firmament, that was kind of like a gateway change, I suppose, to allow us to go full in on Riven. And it was scary, I should say, to jump from Firmament to Riven and question, is this release going to be a hit? Are people going to be happy about this game? People were happy about Firmament. Don't get me wrong. But will people be satisfied with what we do with Riven? Because there are very high expectations for what we were supposed to do, or what people thought we were supposed to do, at least for a remaster or remake of Riven. And yeah, even internally, there were some nervous minds. I was one of them, really. And I wouldn't even consider myself like a staunch fan or, I don't know, someone who wants something exactly the same as the original. So seeing that it's kind of like had people rediscover what they enjoyed so much about the original one without it being exactly the same game has been really satisfying and wondrous and relieving in many ways. Yeah.
It until we saw the public reaction, I always brace for the worst. That's just the way I'm wired. And see, at a certain point, it was like I was forced to accept the fact that like people like it. That's pretty cool.
Many of you probably saw some of the information we released recently on how large our team was when we built this game and how large our budget was relative to AAA studios. And it's incredible. Like, there's a slide here, I think, that I'm sure Jeff's going to pull up. Jeff, pull it up. That has a bunch of like, great critical reviews from reviewers. And so many of those reviews, and even the reviews left by users on the storefront, were comparing Riven to AAA games that they've played. And both in like good and bad ways, by the way. Mostly good ways, like, wow, this is like one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen. It looks just as good as ABCXYZ game.
That's my favorite game, by the way.
Yeah. And we've also seen like, wow, it really pales in comparison in this aspect to this game that cost $300 million or $220 million to make, which is incredible. It's terrifying. It's flattering because, like was mentioned before, our budget was less than 2% of like even a $220 or $250 million game, which is what most AAA games are made with nowadays. So we are running on like a fraction of of resources that these studios have, and I am so proud of what we were able to pull off. And additionally, so many people think that because we're making this game in Unreal 5, we're making use of all the bells and whistles that make the game just apparently automatically look good. But no, we put in like a massive...
the look good button.
Yeah, we clicked the look good button, which I think people attribute to Nanite, Lumen, etc.
All those...
We don't use
any
of them.
Nope.
So this is all just good old-fashioned hard work and technical prowess that helped us build this game, and a great team, obviously, who was able to help us with that.
Super proud of the team. And like all of this is because we've learned these lessons on, going all the way back to Abduction. And every single time we launch one of these things, we learn invaluable new lessons that then just get reapplied, reinvested in the next thing. And I think the only reason we were able to do this is because of our experience on those previous games. And the team had, this is not their first rodeo, right?
Yeah, it's definitely not. We've shipped 4 games in 8 years.
That's insane. That's pretty insane.
We got to slow down.
Yeah. That's on average, I guess, 2 games or 1 game every 2 years, which is, time to slow down. Anyway, we should talk about how much fun we had leading up to release, though. Some of
cookies.
Yeah, we had some coworkers remotely come fly up and join us from all parts of the world. One of them came all the way from Norway, which is incredible.
I think we had others, all the remote people flew in.
Yeah, all the remote people.
It's the first time we've ever done that.
You can see RIUM actually brought his Andotrope, which was awesome. It got to show it to a bunch of party people, and we also had Richard officially press the launch game button on Steam on behalf of the team, which for those of you who've never done that, which is probably most of you, you click a button and then it's like, are you sure? And then you click a button again and then it makes you type in a phrase.
Are you really
it was
sure?
a lot of like, But it was a lot of fun. And we got a very special delivery from Dan Floyd. Thank you so much. The CookieMan, hashtag CookieMan, made this custom stencil for cookies.
So I think like 4 different custom cookie cutters.
Really incredible.
I may have eaten all the daggers.
Yeah, those were really good.
Well, they don't count because they're small. They're small. They don't count. Yeah.
And we had Punished Props make that incredible dagger you can see behind me next to Eric too.
Yeah,
stabbing Rand in the head.
Bill and Britt came and visited the studio literally the day of our launch party, and so we had a lot of stuff going on. But it was really nice to take a few minutes to have them show us that, and we showed them like our, the vault. Many Mysterium goers have seen the items. If you were at Mysterium last year here, you've seen a lot of the items that we were playing with. Yeah,
and the giant dagger hanging in the entryway.
Oh yeah, the entryway dagger.
That one is based off of that one.
So it's been like we're coming off the back of a few weeks of just like launching the game, finishing the game, launching the game, partying, recuperating, trying to roll back into work again. It's been a hectic few weeks. Yeah.
But what's to come with Riven is the next question, I suppose. And we've got a couple patches planned. Like Rand said, we would like to polish this game indefinitely. Probably won't happen indefinitely, but in the near term, we certainly have more polish going and more fixes, I think.
Indefinitely it's a broad word.
Subjective.
And it can mean you can polish some now and polish some later.
This is no joke. We could literally work on Riven for another year and just polish because there's
I hear them cheering. I can hear them cheering through the camera right now.
Yeah. but that comes at a cost because we want to tell some other stories as well. So
exactly.
Oh, sneaky.
No, we're not there yet.
No, we're not getting into that.
Yeah, later.
Settle down.
Yeah, I can hear the oohs coming through the camera.
I hope they're actually doing what we think they're doing. It's going to be really embarrassing.
And now they're laughing. Now they're laughing. Yeah. And we've got some ports being worked on. No news really to share on that just yet, but
on the port thing, what I will say is like we see. Like people are like, nobody ever replies to comments about the ports. It's like, you guys, okay.
Do you understand how many questions we get every day?
Yeah.
Like the same questions over and over again. Also, we have FAQ entries. We have the same response we give. Like, we're not going to just answer one person with the answer.
No, we're also fans with systems ourselves.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. But what I wanted to say on that, though, without getting into specifics, because it's complicated for a number of reasons, the short answer is all of us here want this game and all of our games on all the platforms we can get them on. So
Samsung fridge included.
So, like, absolutely don't think that we're ignoring the comments. We're not. We're working on plans on making sure we can get things where they need to be. But we see the comments, we hear them. We're sorry it's taken a little longer. We mentioned how scrappy we were.
AAA, that makes a difference as your resources get spread thin.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know that meme of like the person asleep in bed, sleeping peacefully, and then it shows like an image of their brain, and it's like, but what about those ports? And the person wakes up like,
is that you at 3 in the morning?
Every night. Yeah. Just imagine that. That's how we feel about ports. And we know it's a thing that we want to do for sure.
Yep.
All right. Don't switch from Riven quite yet. Okay. Unless we're going to talk about, just so people know.
Go off, Rand.
Go Rand.
You guys, it's really hard we mentioned this. Hannah had a really nice post about this is hard. We're not AAA. We do this thing. We spend all our money on it. We're not living in luxury.
Yeah.
And we hope that the sales cover things and do good things. Riven response has been phenomenal from a review point of view. Like, the reviews could not have been better. Thank you guys so much.
The best we've ever had.
The best we've ever had. And that alone helps us.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily, for those of you who are thinking there's buckets of money behind the sofa here, it doesn't necessarily correspond to equal amounts of sales. So we've got the sales to our fans. You guys are so awesome.
Thank you, by the way.
You guys always support us. We could not do this without you. Getting beyond the fans for this game is important to us. You know, and that's hard. It's especially these days. It's hard marketing. It's hard PR. We're not even sure how exactly to do that. Hopefully there's a long tail, but any of you who follow Steam know that, yay, it's up here, and oh, where did it go? And so we have to deal with that. The buckets of money are not flowing. It doesn't mean that we're not happy with the launch. Just making you aware that, you know, there's no mere jets in the future. That
said, though, anything you guys and the rest of the community can do to help get the word out helps, like, more than you know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The number one thing preventing this, you know, amazing influx of sales is literally just people not knowing the game exists.
Yeah.
To this day, every time like a big thread fires up online or a big YouTube video, like the Digital Foundry that just released a video this past week that was
amazing video,
amazing, really good video. Even looking through the comments there, a lot of them I saw are like, wait, this is the first time hearing about this. And because again, we're scrappy, we don't have a giant, you know, PR initiative, marketing machine sort of thing. We're small and we're doing the best we can, but anything you guys can do to help get the word out, keep people, you know, aware of the fact that we did this thing, that we're still here doing this thing, it helps big time.
I like knowing that we live in a timeline where we have companies like ours making just good puzzle adventure games. Obviously, it's not the most lucrative thing we could be doing. Otherwise, I think we would be making some game where you shoot people with a team of people and then you win a round and then you get revived and then...
And it's free.
You shoot people with a team of people? Like you're shooting teams
like
of people
at
targets?
Fortnite.
Okay, and it's free. So, I mean, that's the important part. It's free.
Yeah, exactly. Free to play, but then you have 500 outfits you can buy.
To compete with those free games on Steam too.
It's like, for what it's worth, I personally like playing those games, but I also know the world is fairly devoid of games like the ones that we make, and it's clearly resonating with a lot of people, and it's even in the Digital Foundry video, John was so nice to mention, like, this is, like, we need more of this in the world. And the hard part about all of this is that, you know, no one is throwing $100 million at us to, like, keep doing this indefinitely. So, it, like, I, kind of along the lines that Rand said, like, I think we all should feel lucky and #blessed that, like, we all somehow have the insane drive to keep doing what we do, because it is really special and it means a lot to us too.
Some of my favorite comments I've seen since launching Riven and seeing people like respond to the public reaction about launching Riven have been like, puzzle games are back, baby. Cyan's bringing them back, which is like, oh my God, you couldn't ask for better comments than that. But you know, I hope more people take notice and give it a shot, because we're putting them out there. So
what were we all thinking one day before release? What did you two go to bed thinking that night? Let's say one day before the critic reviews came out, the press embargo.
You know,
Sunday night.
It's more interesting to think what I was thinking a week before we launched.
Oh God.
Let's go there.
Well, yeah, maybe we should tell everyone.
How can this lie?
Maybe like it was like 2 weeks ago. Let's say 2 weeks ago.
People say 2 weeks.
2 weeks before launch.
You guys would not believe. You
would really not believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're used to coming in hot.
Yeah.
This one was like all four engines are locked up and on fire, and the landing gear won't come down, and so that made it even more sweet to see the reviews come in and be that positive, because internally we were all hands on deck, like on fire, and apparently it all worked out. I kind of to this day I'm like, what? I guess that worked.
I think some of it is we were given a little bit of grace because people saw how much love and attention we put in it.
Yeah.
So there was a couple little hard edges even after we shipped that people were like, it's okay, they'll get to those, and we did.
Yeah.
But thank you again. But yeah, if you'd have seen it 2 weeks before then or a month before then, you would have been like, no way. When? You're shipping when? No, that's not happening.
Right.
But we had the party space all reserved, so we had to ship.
Look, when Hannah books the party venue, it's locked. Like,
I mean, you got to go.
You gotta go.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the day before the press embargo lifted? This would have been Sunday the 23rd.
Yeah. That one's tricky because the press got copies earlier.
Yeah, like a week and a half before then.
And you're hoping...
Honestly,
2 weeks before then-ish.
I didn't feel that bad, and here's why. Because we have the best QA team in the industry working with us, and a few days before we hit our like Goldmaster drop dead, we started hearing from them like internally, like, no, it feels really good. This is the best the game's ever felt. This feels like
it's
this
solid.
feels like
a few days.
Yeah.
A few days.
Yeah. Sync like, double digit hours before the drop dead, being told like, no, this feels like a big boy game. This feels like a real game.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that we've learned the past 10 years doing this kind of stuff, it's you trust your QA, trust what they're telling you. And so it was sort of the opposite direction. Usually it's like, oh, they say this sucks, I got to go fix it. Trust that it sucks. This was an interesting inversion of that. It was like, trust that we're okay. And so I kind of was like, okay, I guess we're going to be okay.
I saw it too, because I wasn't in the trenches fixing things.
You were a tester basically.
All the time. My wife and I were in there all the time. And so it's nerve wracking, like, crap. And she would see little things that I knew QA was catching. Yeah. But I was looking for bigger things, maybe edge cases that, anyway. And it's exactly right. Like double digit hours beforehand, it was, okay, all right, maybe, yes,
maybe.
Okay, this is, I can get through this. Oh, this is looking all right. Yeah. Once we got over the end game stuff.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask, what was the scariest? But I'm afraid to ask, because I'm afraid you're going to be like, we never got to it. It's still in there. Like,
no, we got to it. It was. Good. I mean, it's not like, you guys know, there's always room for more polish. And characters are hard, especially with we have, good grief, I'd love to show how we do characters versus big studios doing characters. And yet we've got some decent looking stuff. We'd all like FMV and they look more real because they are.
Yeah, but we all like Naughty Dog's characters.
Amazing what we were able to pull off.
Yeah.
It was just crazy.
I also would like a $20 million character budget. That would be great.
Or more.
So one of the things we're alluding to at the last moment there was we had certain characters in an end game sequence that we went through. My wife and I. Certain maybe characters that I would be closely. I would have a certain.
And
attention to.
Rand's character may or may not have looked like he was like just missing his upper
lips.
I'll give myself and say there was a certain resemblance to Doug Henning. For those of you who might know that, raise your hand. Oh, a couple of you. Good. Yeah, exactly. Magic is special, or whatever that was. Anyway, I think the word cringy came up.
Oh, yeah.
And
Rand had a hard time describing to us what it was he didn't like about it. None of, like, Eric and I hadn't seen the scene recently. So we were like, can you, like, you say you feel like it's not good, what is it? And he's like, you just have to go see it.
Have you seen it? You need to go though.
You have to go see it.
So they did.
Yeah.
And they fixed it.
Yeah. Yep. It was the last couple days, there was just so many jumping from one fire to the next and context switching all day long. It was rough, but we're here to tell about it.
2 days before the press got the build?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
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 And we can come back to Riven stuff, but let's jam through the rest of this. So we can get to
let's
questions.
quickly go over. I mean, we don't have any new news to share on the Firmament front, other than for those of you who don't already know, we still have the PS4, PS5, PSVR2 version to ship.
It's at the top of our porting
it's at the
priorities.
top of the porting list. Like, even before we get Riven ports out the door, we're going to be looking into getting those Firmament ports. We've already started working on Firmament ports, of course, as announced. It's just a matter of getting them out the door, and I believe we had announced that they're coming this year. So y'all will be able to get your PS4, PS5, PSVR2 version of Firmament pretty soon here. And with Myst, same goes there. I mean, ports for that will likely come after Firmament's ports are released. And we're looking into a Quest 3 upgrade patch because some of you who've played the Quest 3 version, first off, thank you so much for supporting us on that storefront. Making the Quest version of Riven was a haul, and it was an incredible technical accomplishment. Like, it's really incredible, the amount of work that went out onto that. And we want to give the same treatment to Myst. Thankfully, we don't have to do too much to get it there, but we are very close to getting Myst in a state where it will look at least 2x better in quite a number of like really important places like Myst Island. In fact, like I shared screenshots of that a few weeks ago internally with the team, and it's really closely resembling like the if you had like the minimum spec PC version. It's pretty close to what that would look like in PC.
We had to make some
really exciting.
We had to make some really
cool stuff.
Deep compromises on the original version because of Quest 1 hardware is just so much lower. But being able to shift it to the higher end platform has meant like all kinds of visual upgrades. So, yeah.
Looking forward to sharing more info on that. But what about new stuff,
new things?
Eric?
All right. Well, we don't have any big surprises.
I'm gonna sip some coffee while you guys talk about that.
We don't have any big
coffee.
No big surprises about hey, look at the new thing we're going to show you, like we did last year with Riven. And so, spoiler, we have no big surprise this year, but we can share a little bit of info. Anybody who came to last year's Mysterium State of Cyan presentation got to hear Hannah and I talk about our desires for the Myst franchise, really, and into the future, the Dunnyverse. We started kind of saying that more internally, not even saying another Myst game, because it's bigger than Myst. It's this entire universe, the Dunnyverse, right? That we want to tell stories in. And last year, we said that one of our highest priorities was kind of taking the old IP out for a drive and do something with it. And very, very happy to report that we have been working towards that goal the entire past year. And we are right now, I have to watch it, because if I'm not careful, I'm going to spill all the beans everywhere. But we're working on a new title in the Dunnyverse, can confirm. And I have to censor everything else that I want to say, because we're not quite ready to share it. I think people are going to be extremely excited about what we're working on.
Do you have to have played Myst for this new game?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nope.
I staged question. I kind of knew the answer.
Yep. I want to say more, but I won't. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Way to hold back.
You like that?
Good
Way
job.
to tease them.
Good job.
Go. Good, good job, me.
Good job.
Next year.
Next year.
Yeah, next year. We'll have more to share.
Yep.
What's next?
All right. I believe we've reached the Q&A portion of our presentation. Jeff has some questions.
Is this quality assurance?
It's quality assurance. This is the quality assurance.
Quality
and assurance portion of the presentation, where we're going to play the game and we're going to find bugs live on camera. We could totally.
I'm not doing that.
And we give Rand assurances.
Yes.
I think I had another meeting.
Yeah. I could use some assurances.
Jeff has, I'm told, a bunch of questions from the community, and he's going to lob them to us, and we're going to try our best to answer them.
Yeah.
There you go.
We don't know what they are in advance,
we have not
by
heard
the way.
these in
So,
advance.
like, this is not staged. This is going to be fun.
In real time. So Raverlife asks, What was the most challenging section to build from a technical viewpoint?
Okay. What was the most complicated technically?
I think I know what it was for you. At least one of them. Can I suggest it at least?
Yeah, jump in.
When we first started working on Riven and we knew we were going to have to ship on Quest and PC Mac, one of the biggest question marks that came up for us was how are we going to make Rivenese water work?
Yeah.
Which was a big question mark. And that might not be the most challenging thing for you, but I know it was looming over you for a long time, trying to think of creative solves for that.
Yeah, that one was one of those things where I just put it in the back of my head and just let it sit there for like a year while I was like, how are we going to
You're talking about, just in case anybody's not syncing with what you're talking about, it's the water that has holes in it.
Morphs
is repelled by heat.
Yep. It's supposed to be have a like a bacteria in it or something that is heat phobic or whatever. So, and in the original, that was one of the coolest effects I'd ever seen in my life. You know, and I was in college when I saw that. It's lodged in my brain, and so I wanted to do it right. I wanted to make sure we didn't screw that one up, and yeah, I mean, in the end, the solution ended up not being too crazy. I'm trying to think. I mean, to me, the obvious answer is just the simple fact that we ship this thing on high-end PCs and low-end VR devices, and I know what happens behind the scenes to make that happen. We've talked about it over the years, like the Cyan pipeline. It's homebrew. It's like we built the system that does all that, and the team of programmers here that maintains that system, like. It's boggling to me that it works.
So not necessarily an area as much as the platforms that were.
The
range of platforms that were challenging.
Like, do you want to speak at all to like the tech stack that we use to make that happen?
We can. Yeah, since you briefly mentioned it, we have our own pipeline called our optimization pipeline, I suppose is the best way to call it. It's what we call it anyway.
Yeah.
And it helps us bring...
The OP.
Yeah, the OP. And it helps us maintain a single set of data, and we can modify the data however we'd like. It makes it very easy for artists to just go in and make whatever changes they want, engineers too. But what happens when you need to make destructive changes to help optimize the game that you're working on? That's when suddenly things have to become pretty different between platforms that you're targeting. So how do we do that without it interfering with what you want to do for another platform? We have this system that will either smartly for you, just based on like an automated set of rules that we've set up, or it assumes. It's not AI, by the way. That sounds like AI or a neural net or whatever. It's literally just like our own rule set that we formed and maintained. Either that or based on like very, very manual selections in the world saying like, hey, do this, do that. It will take the data that we have in those maps that we're modifying every day, process it, and then churn out new data, new map data that has all of the destructive changes we need per platform.
Yeah. And so like in the case of Myst, I'll use Myst has more platforms, so it's an easier example. We have one set of data that's like the master map that we do our art in, and then we can hit a button and we can do an iOS version of the build and a PlayStation version of the build, and maybe I'm screwing my platforms on that one, and
sort of
Xbox version of the build, and a PC version, and a Mac version, and it runs down those bunny trails and does all the things that need to happen to each of those platforms without messing up the source data, so that we can not have to redo work or it's super handy. Yeah,
it's incredibly handy, and like Eric mentioned, we've been using it since Myst, which means we've been maintaining it for about 4 to 5 years at this point, which is crazy. And it's our own system, and the engineering team in particular, it's just been like 1 or 2 people on that team, mainly one person who maintains it, Jason Calvert, has been adding more and more features to it ourselves, including actually Carl Johnson, another engineer of ours, added like a triangle culling functionality to a bunch of HLODs and merge meshes. So that, like, every little bit has helped us bring Riven to life on these platforms. Riven on Quest is probably, like, I want to say one of the most expansive, highest quality games you can find on the platform nowadays. And I know some people might be like, well, it doesn't look as good as the PC version. That's correct. Of course, it's not going to look as good as the PC version because the PC has it's a whole box. Or
Again,
I
say it every time we do one of these. It's like the Quest is a cell phone that has to render two separate views.
An old cell phone that
has to render two separate views at a ridiculous frame rate and maintain that frame rate. So
they're going to be different. But when you objectively and singularly look at the Quest version, it really is like a technical feat and
So that's why that's my answer. Is just like it still blows me away that we're able to do that. And we've had industry partners tell us that like our methodologies are some of the best they've seen in terms of doing this to multiple platforms. So
a little thumbs up on the Quest. I only have a Quest 2, and my wife and I would go in and test on the Quest 2, and we were blown away. And we've been playing on the PC and Mac. We were also testing on those, but when you look at the other things that are on a Quest 2 and Quest 3, nobody's really pushing. Well, some people are pushing graphics stuff, but they're doing it in a very different way. We couldn't change Riven. What it was.
It was immovable.
It needed to all be there. The whole thing, and it was miraculous. I mean, the disappointing reviews on the Quest are all related to, oh, well, it looked so much better on the PC. Like, okay, wait, no,
time out.
You're not getting this. It's like, holy crap, look at what you've got here. It's amazing.
It bums me out because, like, I wish that the technology could catch up to what people want on a platform like that. I really do wish, and I'm sure one day it will.
It will. But for now, it's kind of nice to just put on the headset, not have to connect your PC. I mean, that's why we enjoy the Quest. Is boom, play.
You're in.
It's just so easy and nice.
Such a low barrier to entry. It's great.
We're way off topic. Back to the QA.
Q&A. Wait.
Hit us, Jeff.
There you go. Okay. Salty Cluck asks.
Nice.
Did you find it difficult to balance recreating the game from the ground up with enhancing it and making creative changes throughout?
It was so easy.
So easy.
It was so easy.
That was easy. Next. No. We touched on that. You guys know the answer, but I will say, I'll bring up the whole why thing, because Richard and I really, as we got into the trenches of this, we blue skied this thing with Brother Robin and Richard and I early on, and Mark DeForest was in on all those too, but we came up with crazy ideas. But then as we got into the trenches, as we were actually grinding on this thing, Richard and I were intent on asking why on every single change we made. If we couldn't answer the why did you change this? If there wasn't a good reason, we just didn't do it. And I think that was our at least our protection from an internal point of view. Like even if you guys were like, well, what's that about? It's like, well, because of the narrative thing, boom, or because gameplay, there was never anything about this gameplay. And so if we could support it internally, we felt like we at least had a chance. And the comments have you guys, the fans, dug in and saw those things, which is really satisfying. We haven't had to answer the whys because you guys kind of found them on your own, which is like, that was the best. So it was hard. It was very hard.
We read every single review, or at least I do, because I'm the one answering them. We have a lot of people who are like, they're like, I'm not looking at a single review, to be fair. So like I read every single review and I can see, like Rand said, like many of you, you're just like, I get it. Like this makes so much more sense to me than even some of the decisions in the original Riven.
Brings a smile to me.
Yeah. I mean, that's the design philosophy we've tried to do for all of our games, and it turns out that it's a good one. So
we feel like we're building worlds, not games.
And the reviews, again, to go back to the positive reviews, so many people are like, the thing that sets these games apart from all other puzzle games is that they're not puzzle games. It feels like a world that you're just trying to figure out how everything connects and how it all works. And it's like, cool, it worked. So next,
there you go. Okay, this might be a little spicy one. This is coming from our good friend Dan Floyd. So it's we know it's coming
the CookieMan.
Delicious question.
We know it's coming with a good heart behind it. He asks, I wonder, now that Riven is out, might this be Rand's swan song before enjoying retirement? Is there any truth to that? Does the release of Riven represent any kind of new stage in Rand's life and or relationship to Cyan?
Whoa, that was like
a very well-timed question.
Boy, that's appropriate. Yeah, it does. it's perfect timing for me to, I'll.
Are you
retire.
willing to dive in and talk about this? a little bit?
Yeah. I'm going to retire. Now that's a broad word, but this is a perfect time for me to retire. These guys have, you guys know. I mean, Eric and Hannah have been here for years and years, many years. They are doing all the work. I get to just play the game. They're doing amazing things. And at some point, I'm surprised that question's not from my wife. So maybe my wife contacted Dan and said, Dan, could you ask that question? I would like to retire with at least some, because I don't have very long. I don't have much time.
Wow, it's got dark.
There's a story.
There's a story to that. We can reference it in a bit. But
it's a funny story.
Yeah.
I think to Dan's point, of course, this is a perfect time. Put a lot into Riven. The reviews make it very satisfying to go, hey, this is a good time to really retire, still be around to answer questions, act like I have some kind of accumulated wisdom.
Act like
that.
Oh
Be on some board of whatever and go out to lunch with you guys.
So next year
Cushy.
for next
Cushy,
year
that's what I'm looking for.
next year's Mysterium presentation, are you just gonna come in off the beach and kick the sand off your sandals?
Where's
my
Mysterium?
God.
Let's have Mysterium at a beach. I might already be there.
Hawaii Mysterium
funny.
2025 confirmed.
Yeah. So yes, Dan, it is good timing for me to cut back tremendously. We'll call it retire. I'm not afraid of the retire word. It feels like retirement for me, just, to wax about it, is I get to work on projects that don't actually have to earn money.
Wait, we've been doing that for years.
Yeah, hold on a second.
That's true. Maybe retirement's not that much different.
Yeah, we've learned from the best. Rand's reference to him not having much time left is, we probably referenced this in other Mysterium. You don't even know?
No.
Someone interviewed Rand. I'm so sorry if you're the reviewer or the person who interviewed Rand in this article. It was a great review. Generally a great article. But whoever interviewed Rand misunderstood Rand when Rand said, I just don't have that much time left.
They said, do you ever play games?
Yeah,
what
do you ever
games
play
do you
games?
play? And I said, well, I just don't have that much time.
And they interpret it as Rand is aging and is crumbling and won't have much time left to live or something, which was the most...
We've laughed about it for a long time.
Yeah, it was really funny.
I don't have much time.
Yeah, I think he was not even 60 when he did that interview also, which
I wasn't even as old. Now I'm actually at retirement age.
Yeah.
I'm on
It was pretty
Medicare,
funny.
for heaven's sakes. It's time.
Yeah, pretty funny. But to echo Rand's statements, Rand's obviously he's been helping the last 5 years since Eric and I have been back.
Oh yeah.
But we've been charging ahead pretty strongly. Rand's been advising, he's been helping with design, obviously on Riven and in Firmament and stuff. But I don't suspect much is going to change realistically, other than. Oh, okay. It will. It'll change. But yeah, I don't think anyone has to.
I may not even show up for the morning meetings. In fact, I will not be at the morning meetings.
That's
after I
okay.
retire.
Those things will change, but it's not like people should expect, tables to be turned, things to implode. Things have been going the way they've been going for a while now. And
the way we run things around here has been we've been able to work around your, camping schedule for a few years now. They can be fine.
The calendar said no vacations. This was a few months before Riven was shipping, and I was like, I'm going to go on a month vacation.
Yeah.
Just
he's the big boss. Yeah. So
I'll be around.
Rand will be around.
Dead yet.
He's not dead yet.
But I am happy to retire. I have a lot of fun retirement things to do. Yeah. And by the way, the Pass the Torch thing has been really fun because you guys, and we mentioned this, when you guys came on to do more of this, Tony and I have kind of done a lot of running the company stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. And when you guys came on, it's it's like you fill so much of the things that Cyan is about, where it's not about having these executives that, you know, tell everybody what to do.
Right.
It's like, you guys do it. And with Riven, it was more evident than ever. I think everybody in the company was like not being pushed to work long hours. They were watching you guys set the example of actually doing things, not just telling people to do things.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about the long hours.
We should work fewer long hours, though, for real, though.
We should. And we are trying desperately to do that. Yeah. But it was, you guys walk the walk. And that's what was important to Tony and I more than anything else, not just getting some figureheads in to spout from on high. Yeah. So thank you guys.
Thanks for trusting us. Yeah.
It's awesome.
All right. Yay. What else we got?
Harley asks, and this might be different for each of you, so feel free to answer this how you would like. What was the most fun challenge in designing the new areas of the game?
Most fun.
Oh.
Let's start with Rand.
Boy, if Richard was answering that, it'd be interesting to see what Richard said about this. I think I'm going through a lot of things in my head. I actually liked, this is going to seem oversimplified, but I like.
Do we need to say no spoiler, or like close your ears if you don't want spoilers?
No.
Okay.
Because this is, it's Temple Island. It's right where you start.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to seem silly to people, but even just starting there and going over like, okay, you guys have talked about it. It's so much fun watching the threads where people discuss this, because they're like, they realize we've gated certain things. We haven't let them wander quite as much as the OG did, which was a very specific decision. And at one point we started with a gate up, and then a bridge up, and then we should put the bridge down. Those little tweaks at the beginning were all so fun. Like, why is that? And you guys asked the same question. Why is that spider chair room here? Why, that shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And why was that weird elevator on the outside of the giant gold dome there? It was a little Anyway, tweaking those little things to get a better story and pacing, getting information earlier, the potential for getting information earlier that's associated with getting to certain places earlier. All that was, for some reason, I just really loved tuning that, and it felt like it set the tone for everything. Yeah. There you go.
I would agree with that. I actually love, I'm not going to describe it in detail, but there's a moment on Temple Island that if you had played the Riven demo, if you played the new game, it's a surprising new interaction you can have. And
it's my favorite part to watch streamers hit.
Yeah, exactly. Like I had no role in like the design of that in particular, but I could see how it has impacted people, and it's one of those moments where they realize, oh, this isn't the same Riven. This isn't my mom or dad's Riven.
That's why I love it. It's sort of like it's a bold statement of like, this is not what you think it is. So strap in.
There's so many moments on Temple Island like that where you learn this isn't the same Riven. A moment with a bridge where you learn like you could maybe block your path, and every single person I watched play that, they raise the bridge and then they're like, I don't know if I should have done that. Like they learn that their actions have negative consequences too. It's like the whole learning and stumbling thing that happens on the island that was like so cool to see. I love how we did that.
One particular area that were like wink wink, it involves a gate.
Oh yeah.
Spoiler alert. But that one I love, because one of the things we always talk about here is if people have trouble with something, at the very end, when they do figure it out, if they blame themselves, we did good. If they blame us, we did bad. And almost to a person, when they do figure it out, they're like, it was right.
Man.
It was right there.
Yeah.
I should have, because in the OG, and then, and that's like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
And it sets the tone like.
It does,
Be careful.
Yeah.
Yep. I feel like I got to pick some kind of a weird tech art thing. it would be easy to say the water in general, the ocean. Like I
Sure.
really enjoyed.
That gets rave reviews.
Yeah, I was happy to see that. And it's not even using, like, anybody who follows me online knows that like water shaders is sort of like that's my happy place, right? And for Riven, we're not even using like the top of the top most high tech, water ocean simulation. It's actually fairly known technique. But if I had to pick one that was like the most fun and surprising, the butterflies. I
knew you were gonna say that
was
yeah,
because I didn't expect it to work as well as it ended up. And I've seen people just run around and chase them, and it's like that whole thing is literally just a kind of a dumb particle system with some basic rules. But when you tune it just right, you can sort of like capture the feeling that reality has sometimes.
You do a lot of miraculous stuff with those particle systems.
A whole lot of particle systems. Love them. But
I have one more thing I want to mention, which I know some people miss the FMV from the original game, but it was really fun to be able to help direct the person who did the reference mocap for John Keston's audio. So we pulled in a guy, Russell Webster. He's an actor. He studied John Keston's performance, both the video and the audio, and he learned to lip sync all of his performance and perform the same physical performance, except we made some differences considering you're in 3D now. And wouldn't it feel kind of eerie to feel like an animal kind of trapped in a cage this time?
Yes.
And what can we do with Gehn to make you really feel like that? And
love that.
Yeah, there were some little sprinkles of acting that we requested of Russell to do that were different from the OG, and pacing that were intentional.
Where he walked, that worked much better in real-time 3D.
Yeah, so like, the part where he's like, I have changed, and he's eyeing you through the cage, that is like, hair-raisingly eerie for me, so I loved that.
Yeah, there was some it was fun doing the performance capture stuff. It's, I wish we had multi-million-dollar studio to really capture it, but we managed to get some of those performances from some of our guest stars that are just so fun to have in there, and take things to a different level from a narrative point of view.
I think that's gonna do it for our Q&A. We gotta wrap this thing up. How do we do this?
Awesome.
This is when we look at the camera and we give our one shout out per person what to do. I feel like we're all just gonna shout out the same thing. Bye, Riven.
I'll just say thank you again. Like, I still can't believe we pulled this off. Riven has been one, you guys know, we have put this on the back burner until we felt we could do it justice. And thank you for the reinforcement that we did it justice. I think that is the best thing that, eases me into retirement as much as anything. And so thank you guys for appreciating the level of love and attention we gave to this. Thank you very much.
I will say thank you so much for the people who have loved the game or enjoyed it, for writing your positive reviews. Historically, the team, even if we do get good ratings like we did on Myst, for example, historically the team is hesitant to check out what people are saying about our games, even if it is a positive review. It's really hard for the team to feel like confident enough that what they're going to read isn't going to just like completely crush them emotionally. And we've had team members who have gained confidence now because of your really kind reviews, and it's been like a really special like bonding moment for all of us. And also for me personally, like I feel so happy and so thankful, so thankful for every single person. Again, like I'm reading every single review. Like I see you, I hear you, I know what you're saying about the game, and it means so much to us. It means so much to me. I'm sure like I share some of your reviews with many of the team members, and I'm just so thankful for you all. So thank you again for writing them.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of us giving the same sort of thank you.
Yeah.
But seriously, this project, I think more than any of ours, like we say, this is the crowning jewel of our sort of past catalog, and it was certainly my favorite Cyan game long before I ever came to be a part of the studio, and it feels really, really nice to feel like we did it justice. And it's our fans, past, present, attributing. I mean, it's because of you guys that we're feeling this way, and we if you didn't pick it up from our entire conversation, we are so scrappy and so tiny, and it just feels like we're constantly this little ant trying to push a bowling ball uphill all day, every day, for years on end. And it gets very tiring, and it can be debilitating sometimes. And going and seeing these reviews, talking about what the game means to them is like, oh, it made all that crap worth it. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't ask for better validation that what we choose to spend our lives doing actually makes some people happy and makes you want to, support what we do. So I don't know, like, legitimately thank you. This one felt different in a way that our previous releases hadn't. It's not that we haven't had good releases, but there was something magical about this one. So
I like how you used the metaphor of an ant pushing the boulder up the hill. So basically Eric's is comparing us to the myth of Sisyphus.
Yeah.
And Sisyphus is smiling as he's pushing that boulder up the hill every time now.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you for helping make Sisyphus, aka us, smile, pushing this boulder up the hill. And the boulder's back down the hill again now, so we got to make another game.
Wait, what's over that hill? Oh, another hill.
Yeah.
Another hill, it turns out.
Here's to the next hill.
Here's to the next hill, and hopefully you guys will come along for the ride.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.